Hello, everyone. Blue Star Saber here once again to discuss another Star Wars Star Wars Maul Shadow Lord review, episodes 3 and 4, titled "Whispers in the Unknown" and "Pride and Vengeance." These two episodes follow up the last two, in which we learn that Darth Maul is targeting old crime lord families, if you will, that were once sworn allegiance to him, out for revenge for abandoning him, in which, of course, that he has done so, pitting two small gangs against each other before having one of their leaders kill each other before kidnapping the surviving one, and would have killed him if not for the fact that he managed to prove himself a bit more useful or valuable, if you will. The fact that he has information on how he can get to the Pikes. Let's see, since the Pikes had also abandoned Maul. So he has at least managed to prove his usefulness for that. Meanwhile, let's see, Maul is also trying to recruit this new Jedi Padawan, Devon Eiza. Let's see, a Twi'lek that appears to be based on Darth Talon, if you will, to become his new apprentice, if you will, while she is struggling to try and be a Jedi in this era where the galaxy has basically turned against them. Let's see, she's being a bit more impatient and willing to steal stuff. Her master shows a lot more patience, Daki. Meanwhile, let's see, Maul is being investigated by a police officer by the name of Brandon Lawson and his partner Two Boots, which is a droid, as he's trying to undercover who Maul is. But his buddy is trying to convince him that okay, we need to get the Empire involved according to protocol, but Lawson refuses to do. Meanwhile, we know that he has a bit of a troubled relationship with his son, and his line of work involving the police seemingly is affecting that. Now, will Darth Maul successfully recruit this apprentice, given the fact that he has captured her, and given that he has captured her, or will she resist his temptations? We're about to find out. In which, given the fact that last episode she basically escaped from her cell that Darth Maul left to him, though it implies that she's free to leave whenever she wants. But anyway, on to the actual the episode review. We see her escaping. Laura Vario, says, "How did you get out?" demanding that she help him. But of course, before Brie and Larson can respond to that, you have Root Cast, if you will. Ritzy arriving with a gang of Mandalorians, Ritzy escorting her to where Maul is, and Maul ends up sitting down with her and having tea, if you will, trying to have a sort of conversation, trying to get to know her, talking about how she would see her potential as a Jedi, if you will, but was squandered all that stuff, trying to get her to see that we're on the same side. But Devon is sort of refusing to do so. As a result, she draws her lightsaber, and Maul begins his battle, if you will, with her. Of her trying to strike him down, but Maul always fighting with just the one hand on his lightsaber, if you will. So, and during the course of the episode, you sort of get Maul turning off the lights. She's trying to avoid, but Maul's telling, "Why'd you run?" Trying to tempt her, your master would surely be impressed if you took me down, but Devon is not convinced that she can take him on at first. Eventually, she starts to get angry and starts fighting him a bit before, eventually fleeing, but not before Maul takes his lightsaber back, as, of course, Darth Maul's lightsaber is split in two. She used the Force to pick one, but Maul took it and basically sort of like took the lightsaber. Took the lightsaber of the Force, showing that, well, basically he could have taken it whenever he wanted to, and ends up revealing that he does know her name being Devon. Meanwhile, you've got like our next protagonist, Brandon Lawson, trying to, of course, investigate Maul, but of course, he's getting tired, so his partner, Two Boots, takes over, if you will, reminding him that he's got to watch this match with of his son Riley Lawson, who's about to take part, so he's going to deal with that. Brandon arrives, of course, at the stadium, and it looks like he's actually for once able to do the game, if you will. Watch the game, if you will. But of course, the Jedi Darky appearing, trying to say that he's looking for his niece, which is, of course, Devon. Of course, I don't think Lawson really buys it, given the fact that they're two different species, since she's a red-skinned Twi'lek, and from what I can tell, Darky appears to be from the same species as that Jedi Master from the Jedi Master that tried to strike down Dooku, but was shot down by Jango in Attack of the Clones. They sort of like have their sort of like a little bit of a chat, if you will. If you will, as he's like tries to warn him how dangerous Maul is, but realizes that he is also not a fan of the Galactic Empire, and he knows he wants to avoid tension with the Empire and get them involved. But then, of course, he gets called for what I'm about to describe as the skimmage next. But as a result, Lawson ends up leaving, and Riley, who's just been scoring, unfortunately, due to the distraction of with Daki, ends up missing any of the scores he does that are there when he's there. But when Riley is going to see his father, only to find out that his father's left, and this sort of disappoints him. And this is the last that we see of him for these 2 episodes. Meanwhile, Two Boots is going into investigation with this guy Reed for this Pike shipment, seeing them do it. The Pike's getting a bit annoyed with Vario's men, if you will. And demanding and they end up shooting one of the guys, and this is where these two start doing their police job, if you will. Meanwhile, it appears that I've pressed the wrong button there. Oops, nope, that's not what I wanted. Hold on, give me a second. Where Cass, who has sort of recruited Vario to the next shipment location, ends up fighting the skirmishers, taking out a fair share of the Pikes there, if you will, and as well as some of the smugglers that belong to Vario. As a result, you had an enabling shoot where Two Boots tries to shoot them down, but gets injured. But doing the whole thing of this, I think the spy bot helps them get away. I at least remember he sort of wishes to hurt Vario when he won't shut up, if you will. But Lawson arrives, if you will, and tries to persuade Lawson arrives, and Two Boots tries to persuade him to try and get the Empire, but Lawson remains steady, and Lawson starts to question if Lawson's being a bit personal about this, given the fact that they used to allow the Republic and the Jedi to come, but Lawson says it's different. But then he says, your ex-wife works for the Empire, and you think that might be the case, and it gets so bad that Khalees ends up telling the chief. Khalees tells Lawson later that Two Boots wants to bring the Empire in, but of course she's not having that and put him down to desk duty, and you can see that this has sort of affected him, given the fact that he starts to cover like a picture of both him and Lawson together, showing a sort of friction in the partnership. And like I said, that ends that a bit of the plot line. But of course, the episode ends with Darth Maul revealing that he knows Devon Lawson's real name. Though I should probably also mention that under the command of Cass, if you will, is contacted by Margot Krim and tries to say it's a part of like rogue lieutenants from like the rival that he killed just last 2 episodes ago. But he doesn't seem to fully buy it, but he's at least willing to offer him to like fully get his full payment, pay back if he's going to do that. So yeah. Anyway, now that I've with all the plots and subplots, if you will, for this episode, time to begin my overall thoughts of this episode, if you will. I will admit I love like the fact that Darth Maul is playing like the sort of the trying to be like the Sith Master that's trying to tempt a vulnerable Jedi to the dark side, if you will. And I do like his methods of like trying to have tea, talk about it, how the Empire destroys his family, like his brother and mother. They get mentioned, if you will. And that's it's also the same enemy that fell to the Jedi, trying to persuade Devon that the Jedi way has failed. She needs a more stronger path, not necessarily Sith like the Empire, but more of like what Maul is sort of offering with the dark side. And I do like how throughout the episode how he's taunting her like why do you flee, or your master would be impressed if you killed, and all that stuff. And fighting her with in the lightsaber battle, it's more like he's testing her, really seeing if she's going to fight aggressively or not. But throughout the episode, you know that Devon stands no chance against him, if you will. And you can see that by just the fact that Maul is only just using one hand with his lightsaber, and then just uses the Force to grab the other one, like grab his other lightsaber that Devon used the Force to steal from him afterwards. And showing that he could have taken it whenever he wanted to. And I will admit, this just shows just how powerful he is. In many ways, it kind of reminds me of Vader versus the Third Sister, where he took her lightsaber, if you will, and give it back when he didn't really need it, and all that stuff, showing just how beneath her she was compared to Vader, if you will. So I like that sort of little moment, if you will. And I do like how Maul turns out to have actually known Devon's name all along. It's either he read her she was too unbalanced with her anger that he was able to read her mind, or he actually knew all along and was just merely wanted to get her to do it. But then, of course, after taunting her enough, decides to reveal that, oh, I actually know your name and all that stuff. So, yeah, I kind of like that part. Other than that, we've got the oops, I just realized that I have did the wrong image with let's see, Darth Maul. I really gotta stop doing that, but yeah, I really like how Darth Maul, but I guess to summarize it up, I like how Darth Maul was being patient with Devon, taunting her throughout their duel, using only one hand, and then just taking the lightsaber when he needs to. See, every scene Maul is in, he is like that effective, if you will. So I will like that. Anyway, we've got the other major plot line was Lawson, and basically building off of like the rise of his new relationship with Darky, if you will, and perhaps the falling out with like his son and his partner, basically. So I do like how of course he does try to be there for his son's game, and he even shows up and is like at the seat, wants to do front row seats and all that stuff. Though granted, he probably should have taken the offer to sit with like one of the other team with his friends' parents, if you will. So that way he would have been able to stay a bit longer and it may not look like he left, if you will. But yeah. But I do like how Darky is trying to persuade let's see, Darky's trying to persuade Lawson that they're not enemies and that neither his Padawan is an innocent bystander, even though he's not revealing everything about who they are, given the fact that, well, trying to say that, oh, it's his niece, and not the fact that they're two ex-Jedi, if you will. But yeah. But as a result, this Jedi is distracted from Lawson from actually seeing his son's game, and when the police call, he's gonna police call, and when the police calls for backup, he ends up leaving, making his son feel like his dad doesn't care. It seemed like one of the few chances that could have mended their relationship. It seemed to have gone down the drain, and I wouldn't expect the next time we see these two interacting, it's going to be a bit more hostile. I'm wondering if this is going to make his son more pro-Imperial, given what we just learned about him and all that stuff. But yeah, I do like how at least Two Boots is sort of like willing to take over like his partner's case, even though he thinks that there's probably going to be a dead end. And I do like how we got like this other partner, like Reb, that's coming along. Though granted, he's not much of a character, but at the very least, it shows there's other living members of the police force and ones with names. Though granted, I definitely see this guy as someone being killed towards the end of this first season, if you will. But at the moment, he seems to be lucky and just being injured. But I wouldn't be surprised if he does end up dying. But I do like how the stage of the the investigation has Two Boots, if you will, being a sort of like after like a couple of failures, thinking like, okay, can we please bring in the Empire? It's protocol, it's his droid program, and in some ways you can see how he can see in his logic, like, we can't handle this, we need someone more of an expert, and he seems like that's the Empire. But unfortunately for him, he does not. Of course, Lawson brings up some very solid points that if the Empire comes, they stay here. It's not like with the Republic, where they would send the Jedi, they'd help with the investigation, then they would leave. And let's see, Two Boots can't really see the difference at the moment, but Lawson, let's see, does, if you will, given the fact that he has an experience with the Empire. Unfortunately, Lawson Two Boots seems to think Lawson is just taking it personal because his ex-wife is pro-Empire, is a part of the Empire. And from what I can tell, it seems like his marriage fell apart because he doesn't support the Empire and she ends up doing so. Given the fact that there are 2 years, I think, to my understanding, Shadow Lord is 2 years into Imperial rule, if you will. So it does give a bit time to Lawson to be sort of start to see what the Empire is, but and think more negatively compared to the wife, which I am curious to see if she ends up showing up in a bunch of other episodes, if you will. But yeah. Other than that, but I do like how Kelly, the chief police, is realizing that who also doesn't seem to want the Empire here is, but also is a bit more realistic about how long she can keep the Empire from actually coming here, even trying to stop put Two Boosts on permanent desk duty, if you will. And I do like how you got Two Boots covering an image, and maybe it's not intentional, but it feels like it's sort of symbolizing the sort of fractures of this relationship, if you will. Other than that, I think let's see, Vario here is used quite well with them. See, just maybe a quick joke about how did Devon got out, and then trying to cover us up, saying I didn't do anything to do it, but then of course is forced to then fake see a message to Mark Kim here, who I did not realize was actually one of the antagonists that Ahsoka dealt with in season 7, particularly the twins storyline, if you will, that she did end up doing. But again, the animation is a lot more different compared to that. So yeah. And the Pikes have gotten a bit of a redesign since then, trying to look more and more like their live action versions, if you will. So props to that, I guess. So heck, props to that. So yeah, props to that. But Fario trying to like just do what Root Cars is just trying to say. But of course, it seems like at the moment he's able to persuade Mark Krim to at least let him try and repay him personally, which will allow Darth Maul to make his next move in the next episode. I do like how you've got like Spybot, Ritzy wanting to like Ritzy put pain on Ritzy on Varia, if you will. But other than that, I will admit I do like how Root cast throughout this episode allows Devon to go to where Maul is, trusting her boss to do what he wants to do with her, and then dealing with the Pike stuff herself, getting Vario to tell the next location, and having Vario integrate stuff. So yeah, overall, I definitely say with hold on, let me just share screen. So yeah, I do like let's see. So yeah, I do like Rootcast doing Maul's dirty work, if you will, while he's dealing with an apprentice. So yeah, overall, I'd probably give this episode a 7 or 8 out of 10. Arguably, the Maul stuff, not much to say compared to, like, I guess the other half, but I guess while that was arguably about half the episode, it is mostly Maul teasing and tempting let's see Devon, if you will, with the dark side, saying that she's been led astray. She's been denied her greatness. She wants to do more, but of course she can't. But let's see. And you can see her anger throughout the whole battle, if you will, which throughout the bit of the lightsaber duel, you can see the frustration. You can see the dark side slowly starting to maybe slowly go into her, even though you don't necessarily see it yet. But if you know, she's not quite there yet. Hold on, I'm just adding some images for the next part of the episode. But yeah, you can see the sort of frustration she has throughout the duels, and you can see that why Maul it's slowly starting to get to her, even if she doesn't quite realize it herself yet. But at the moment, she does try to do the smart thing of trying to flee, and of course, not face Maul because she's not ready. But when she does fight, she has to fight sometimes with two hands. Maul only does with one, and knows who she actually is. And you've got like Lawson's like own plot line with like Daki, his son, and Two Boots, with like Two Boots and being more frustrated that Lawson's not bringing the Empire into this when they need their help, but Lawson knows what the Empire is like, so refuses. And the fact that as Daki's trying to get Lawson to trust him, he ends up missing the chance to watch his son's game, and then having to leave it completely when the Two Boots' operation goes wrong. So yeah. So arguably pretty good episodes in that regards. But anyway, I suppose it's now time to get into the actual proper episodes, if you will. So episode 4, Pride and Vengeance, if you will. So Hold on, let me just give me a moment. Let's see. As next episode starts with Lutu Vario delivering like shipments of gold and let's see cargo to this pike called Cult here, I believe, who is currently captain of the pikes, and then. Just as this going on, we see that apparently, let's see, Maul has snuck aboard, if you will. Let's see, apparently the pike, let's see, Vario's ship taking down pikes, and then Luke Vario seems to stun Maul, if you will, but Maul, let's see, as we saw like a sort of gun he was holding earlier at the beginning of like before they landed, if you will. So Vario takes Maul to Margot Krim, if you will. Krim, shows that he actually know that Maul was, rumors that Maul was alive. Tries to get, Vario to explain, with Vario trying to say that Maul forced him and he had to keep himself alive, but says now he's got Maul here. And of course, he eventually tries to remove Maul's, Maul's hood, if you will, but it's revealed it's not really Maul, but it's actually one of the Night Brothers that's part of Maul's gang, if you will. And then Maul comes in, kills Margot Crimeo using the Force to retrieve his lightsaber, and then taking enough pikes down before they eventually, the remaining ones surrender, with Maul putting Colt as the one in charge afterwards, mocking Margot Crin about how he after his fall of Mandalore, he came to his end, but you betrayed him. But Colt is now in charge, let's see, of the Pikes, but he must directly answer to Maul, with Maul sort of finishing off that Pike sort of like storyline, if you will. As a result, we can get to the juicy part of Devon arriving to Ritzy meet with her master, Daki at their hideout, if you will, where Devon, where Daki asks how she is and all that stuff, but seems like she's holding back some bits of how she left, but is trying to persuade her master that they need to stop Maul, but and try and be justice for peace and justice of the galaxy. Protectors of the galaxy, if you will, but Daki points out that they no longer, are that in the eyes of the galaxy. But Devon says there must be some people that still believe there, with Daki thinking that Lawson is the case for that. So as a result, he agrees with her to contact the police, if you will, and hold on. As we cut to got onto the wrong part. We cut to there's a police officer called Wade who was taken over, I think, from Reb, who was injured the last episode, who is also more of a background character, but getting a bit more of a significant role of being Lawson's partner in the raid, if you will, that's about to take place, but of course doesn't really die yet, but of course tells Lawson that there's this lead and has his name addressed to him, and someone named Uncle Daki, and Lawson realizes, okay, this is probably legitimate about Law's whereabouts. He tells Khalees that he needs a Stritzy squad and to take down Maul, and might as well let him give him a chance, otherwise, no might as well just let the Empire, which she agrees. And this is where Two Boots finally starts to lose his impatience and tries to contact the Empire, thinking that Lawson's crew cannot do it, but Lawson does perhaps maybe a personal betrayal, if you will, shuts down Two Boots for the time being while he goes try and apprehend Maul, if you will. And while you have throughout the sort of this episode, if you will, you have Devon, if you will, with Daki just monitoring Maul's hideout and whether or not the police will come. At the same time, you have, of course, Spybot monitoring as well, and eventually Lawson arrives with his squad, which it seems like both not only did the Jedi hope for, but also it seems like Maul, and then Lawson ends up running into Vario, where he ends up giving a sort of message that Darth Maul is wanting to do, contacting where they try to negotiate with Lawson, trying to say that you're surrounded, like your men are surrounded. But of course, Maul says that's not really the case, as Ritzy Rook cast, if you will, shows up and with a bunch of Mandalorians and Night Brothers, if you will. So there's a lot more Mandalorians in the part of this group than I thought was led to believe, at least from the last few episodes I can remember. So you've got like hold on, let me just switch back. Maul is like offering Lawson like a deal. Let him and his gang smuggle and do his operations on the planet, while and they won't cause the problems to civilians and the police, but just nor so neither of them have to alert the Empire. And he sort of figures that Lawson is an honorable man who doesn't trust the Empire. He even seems to admire him, and this is arguably why Maul seemed to have spared Lawson's life. But Lawson, and sort of like his like sense of morality, disagrees with it. As a result, let's see the gunfight ensures. Maul orders his men to like kill, and you see Root Cars and the others start gunning down, shooting down let's see the droids, and I guess injuring sort of like Wade gets injured during the whole thing. So yeah, while Lawson is also sort of pinned down, but eventually tries to go to where Maul's location is once one of the police bot cams, if you will, locates him. Meanwhile, Daki and Devon end up arriving where let's see, they encounter Maul, if you will, and Maul was, of course, hoping that Devon would bring his would bring her Jedi Master, if you will, and let's see. Daki attempts to like offer Maul what he wants off the captain to surrender, and they're coming peacefully, but Maul saying their means of peace and justice have failed. They should be, as powerful Force users, they should be in charge, not casting or hiding the shadows of those weaker than them. But of course, let's see, they're saying they should be cast the shadows weak of those weaker than them, but Maul does not. Daki does not see it that way, and as a result, you've got like a lightsaber fight going on. Daki and Devon trying to both take on Maul at the same time, both having blue lightsabers. Eventually, get separated for a bit, and Maul seems to like has beaten Daki, but I think during the fight he gets injured in the knee. I'm not sure if it was, I can't recall if it was Devon or Daki, but then Devon comes in and saves her master, which Maul is impressed by. And as more police are sort of arriving, if you will, Maul flees with the rest of his gang, if you will, and Brienne Lawson arrives and sees that both Devon and Daki are Jedi, with him asking, "Why didn't you tell?" With Daki saying, "Well, pretty obvious why," but Lawson covers for them, and they are allowed to flee as well. Eventually, let's see, the Chief Kleiss comes in, if you will, and unfortunately, sees Lawson come out. Let's see, injured, and no Maul, realizing that they failed. Wade gets taken away with like let's see, to be treated medically with all the damaged droids, if you will. And Two Boots is shown to be there as well, being reactivated, with Lawson apologizing, with let's see, Two Boots saying that apologies for what he has done as well. And during the whole course of this, Spybot has gone, checked some signals, and realizes that something is up. Meanwhile, Maul and his gang trying to escape. You can see the Ritzy robot knee being damaged, slowing him down a little bit, and he uses the Force to block their path. And then Root Cars came to check on Maul, as then Maul starts to sense something, and then you see like both Devon and Daki sense it, and it's revealed that Two Boots has called in the Empire. So you get like the beeping signal as the Star Destroyer arrives on top of the planet, sort of ending the episode, if you will. So yeah. Anyway, I suppose my overall thoughts. I will admit I do like how I guess Vario has used as like trying to be used as a sort of like as the bait to get the Pikes in, and you do have this moment where you think he looks like he might try and double cross Maul, but instead it's all more part of a ruse where he stuns like a Night Brother, and then but it was just a way of just getting Mark Krim, if you will, to get his guard down, and then of course then Vario's used as a sort of messenger with Maul, so it seems like at the very least, the Pikes, Vario's at the very least kept himself useful enough to not be killed by Maul after the stuff with the Pikes. So it seems like Maul so far kept his word on that. Though whether or not Vario will survive throughout the end of the first season remains to be seen, because he's quite the talker, and it seems like he annoys quite a fair share of people, particularly I believe Cast, if you will, was one of those that was annoyed in the previous episode. But yeah, I will admit it's a bit surprising just how early that Mark Krim was just eliminated. I will admit it is quite a nice design compared to, like, granted, I didn't recognize him from the Clone Wars episode. Granted, I may have only really watched that episode once or twice. So, but yeah. But I do like how Maul is just mocking him in death about how you abandoned him, and it's like he got his revenge. It was just quite easy. But I do like how Maul sort of did the sort of tactic he did with the Black Sun of like killing their leaders and then putting like the captain in charge. Let's see, and you answer directly to him. So I do like that part. I am curious if the Black Sun is going to be the next on his revenge list, if you will, though granted the Empire's about, so it might be that he can't really do that right now. So but yeah, but I will admit, so yeah. Anyway, I do like how Maul has been used throughout this episode, if you will, of like trying to do business negotiation, but taking down Pikes and then trying to do business negotiations with Lawson. I do like that we got an explanation about, okay, why Maul sort of spared Lawson when he'd been killing anyone else in sight, is that he notices that Lawson is an honorable man and a dedicated policeman, if you will, and thinks that he could try and use that to do business of like not drawing the Empire, of like drawing a bit of not drawing the Empire's attention by saying, let me and my gang do our criminal activities, let's see, on this planet. Let's see, and we won't do anything that'll cause disturbance to the peace nor force you to draw in the Empire, since that seems like we both don't want the Empire around. But of course, Lawson doesn't agree to those terms. But I do like how Maul seems to sort of respect the decision, even though he orders his men to like kill. I do like how he seems to be even polite to like Darky, if you will, but also trying to say that his ideas of peace and justice are flawed. Talk about how, as Force users, they should be ruling, not serving. I do like how he's able to take on both of them and defeat them both at the same time, because, well, Maul should be capable of fighting more than one Jedi, especially these two who are not necessarily the top of the thing. But I do like how they're still able to sort of like damage his knees, and you can see that throughout the episode afterwards, after knee damage, where he has to stop for a bit. But I do like how he at least needs to still use the Force. But regardless of Maul's plans, they might have been going along. If perhaps even if Lawson did agree to him, let's see, it was too late. The Empire's already made their way here, so now I'm curious to see how Maul is going to deal with them. I do like how, let's see, how like his lieutenant Root Cass, if you will, ends up leading like the Mandalorians and the Night Brothers to take out all the police droids, if you will, shooting them down, if you will, and then showing concern for Maul when his knees are broken, showing just how much of a loyal lieutenant she is. I am curious to see what her fate will be by the end of this show. I'm thinking she's gonna probably maybe at least survive the first season, but if not, and make it, if she does, I think if she does survive the first season, I think she'll make it into the end. But I could be wrong, and she'll either die this season or the last one. If that's my best guess as to why we don't see her for like the rest of the, let's see, for like the rest of Maul's timeline, if you will, especially like by the time of Rebels. But anyway, I do like how Devon and Darky's like reunion, if you will, but Devon isn't perhaps feeling everything that her master about how she escaped. That basically Maul let her go, which I do. Perhaps she's worried that if that was the case, her master would not, advise them to go after Maul if he's like targeting, if she's expressing an interest in trying to recruit her, if you will. But I do like how it takes Devon to try and persuade Darky that they need to try and stop Maul, even though Darky realizes that they're no longer seen as protectors of the galaxy in the eyes of them, but at the very least is willing to use his one the one decent police officer, if you will, that he has made a bit of a connection to on this planet to try and go after Maul. I do like his sort of like arguments against Maul about how they're, as Guardians of Peace and Justice, they're meant to serve, not dominate. And even tries to like offer him a chance to surrender. But yeah. Now, arguably, he's pretty good at a lightsaber battle, but it makes sense that he would stand no chance against Maul because, while arguably Daki's probably like a Jedi master, it's given his wisdom that we've seen so far. He's clearly not on the level of, say, like the best of the Jedi Council. And like you need to be at least a Jedi Council member to stand a chance against Maul, and even then, that is still a bit slim, since Maul and his brother have shown that they're capable of killing Jedi Council members. But yeah, so we've got that moment, if you will. So with Devon, but I do like how Devon is able to like protect her master throughout the thing, and Maul, of course, hoped that she would bring the master. Perhaps, arguably, if I had to guess, was for Maul to fight them both and to show just how weak, Daki is compared to him, and so where maybe traps tempting in Devon that he could be a much stronger master at the very least. So, yeah, I do like how that part goes. But yeah, but I do like how once Lawson gets a lead that apparently Wade reveals that it's from Daki. He's willing to go and get to deal with like the threat and is going to such lengths as to deactivate his partner from contacting the Empire, if you will. I do like how he does. It's like he listens to Maul's off and all that stuff. But of course, even if it makes sense, arguably makes sense logically in some regards of like teaming up, or at least not interfering with each other. Lawson's sense of morality is like to do the right thing and stop Maul here. I do like how he ends up later realizing that Daki and Devon are Jedi. And even though he asks, why did you consider this? And Daki says, I think there are reasons obvious, which, yeah. I like that he's still willing to trust him. And it shows that Lawson does seem to at least have some respect for the Jedi and probably realizes that everything that the Empire might be saying might not be the case. At least I wonder if he suspects at the very least, given the fact that he has his own bad experience with the Empire and knows the difference that the Jedi would be like. The Jedi would not force their will compared to the Empire. But yeah, I do like how he apologized to his partner afterwards. But of course, it's a bit too late as his partner has done something. And I'm wondering how, let's see, that will affect their relationship down the line, because Shelley Lawson's not going to be happy that Two Boots is called the Empire. But yeah. Other than that, I will admit I do like how Two Boots is like run out of patience, is like, no, we gotta call the Empire, but gets deactivated. But of course, the moment he's reactivated, has contacted the Empire. Or at least I like how he's like shut down his friends, like apologized to his friends for doing against what he wanted, but he's following, of course, protocol. I am curious to see if Two Boots, let's see, will ever regret his decision to call the Empire, but I wouldn't be surprised. It takes a while for him to like do that, and at least for the next 2 episodes, see the Empire as a very effective source of dealing with Maul, before realizing that okay, they're staying here and their methods are getting a bit too extreme of suppressing, like, of course, the civilians of their planet. So like that. But other than that, I do like how Kleiss is giving Maul a chance to Lawson a chance to apprehend Maul, and you can see the disappointment when it fails. But yeah, I'm curious to see how she will handle the Empire as well. And I will admit, I do like how Spybot has been used to monitor when the police arrive, and then to find out when the Empire's being contacted. But yeah, I do like how. But yeah, overall, I give this episode a 9 out of 10. I thought it was a very good episode. The Pike stuff was dealt with quickly, if you will. More, let's see, you got Maul's trying to do deals with both the police, if you will, with Lawson, of like just letting him do his operations, and then trying to like his sort of philosophical debate with like Dakai, if you will. Let's see who have not use how to use their strength as force users, and then of course praising Devon for like her like trying to protect her master, but it's like ways of like tempting her more to the dark side, if you will. And I do like how Lawson is trying to do the right thing, even deactivating his own partner to prevent the Empire getting here. Refusing Maul's offer, if you will, and showing trust with like the Jedi, but only for like his mission to fail, and now the Empire's here and it's his worst nightmare. So yeah, okay, the Pike plot line has finally been dealt with, and now we can move on to this Imperial one. And it seems like the gang war stuff has has like outlived its purpose, if you will, and as well as like the police investigation. I do like how you had this one last chance, but of course, now that the Empire's arrived, we have to see what changes the stakes, which Inquisitors are going to be here. Granted, from the trailers, we do know it seems to be the one from the Ahsoka show and maybe the Eighth Brother. Is there going to be any more? Who knows? But at the very least, the Empire's here, and it's now going to change things up a bit. How will this affect character relationships? Will this draw Devon closer to Maul? Will there be a rift between Lawson and his partner and son more? And how far will the Empire go to search Maul? We'll have to wait and see. But yeah, arguably, this is arguably a 9 out of 10. Arguably might be the best episode of the season so far. But yeah, anyway, I've said my piece. For those who end up listening, I hope you enjoyed what I had to say. Let's see, and hopefully see you next time when I discuss the next 2 episodes. But for now, I am Blue Star Saber signing off. Thank you and goodbye. May the Force be with you.